The school nurse's voice on my phone cuts through an otherwise ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Mrs. Matthews, Lila collapsed during recess. She's conscious now, but we've called an ambulance. My design samples scatter across the conference room table as I bolt upright. The phone pressed so hard against my ear it hurts. I hear myself speaking, promising to meet them at Portland Memorial, but my mind is already racing ahead to my daughter. The hospital emergency room pulses with fluorescent urgency. I spot Lila's small form on a gurney, her chestnut hair splayed across the pillow, her favorite unicorn backpack clutched against her chest. The pediatric cardiologist, Dr. Brennan, guides me to a consultation room, while a nurse stays with my daughter. His face carries the weight of news no parent wants to hear. "We've detected a congenital heart defect," he explains. Clinical terms flowing past me until three numbers stop me cold. The surgery costs approximately $110,000. My hands begin to shake uncontrollably. The room narrows to a tunnel with Dr. Brennan's sympathetic face at the far end. I try to focus on his words about insurance coverage, but my mind performs desperate calculations. Our insurance will cover part I manage, but there's a significant deductible and coinsurance. How significant? Dr. Brennan asks. $42,000. The number falls between us like a stone. The life insurance money, Daniel's final gift to us. The $75,000 I loaned to my parents when their woodworking business faced tax penalties last year. The money that was meant for Lila's future. I hear Daniel's voice, clear as the day before his construction site accident. We sat at our kitchen table, signing insurance paperwork, while 7-month-old Lila slept in her swing nearby. "This money is for Lila's future," he had insisted. "Promise me you'll protect it." I had promised. Now I'm mentally tabulating everything I own. The business account has $4,000 in emergency funds. My personal savings holds another $3,500. The home equity might provide $15,000 if the bank approves quickly enough. Even selling my car would only add another $8,000. The math is merciless. I'm $68,000 short. My hands won't stop trembling. Later that evening, I sit beside Lila's hospital bed, watching the gentle rise and fall of her chest. The room is quiet except for the rhythmic beeping of monitors. Her small hand rests in mine, warm and trusting. My baby doesn't know that her heart needs fixing, that her life depends on money I don't have. 8 months ago, I stood in my parents' living room, my signature still wet on the transfer papers. Dad had been desperate, explaining how the IRS penalties would destroy the business my grandfather had founded. "It's temporary," Mom had promised, her voice honey-sweet. "We'll pay it back within a year, with interest." I pull out my phone, scrolling past recent texts from clients to find my parents' number. The call goes straight to voicemail. I try again, and again. "Mom, Dad, it's Candace. Lila's in the hospital. She needs heart surgery. I need to talk to you about the loan. Please call me back immediately." My voice breaks on the final words. This is the 4th time I've called since Lila was admitted. Each unanswered ring deepens the cold dread spreading through me. 2 weeks ago, at Sunday dinner, Mom had casually mentioned that generous gift you gave us while showing off new dining room furniture. When I corrected her, "You mean the loan," she'd laughed and patted my hand dismissively. Dad had changed the subject, pouring more wine, asking about my latest design project. I stare at Lila's sleeping face, her long eyelashes casting shadows on her cheeks. A terrible clarity cuts through my emotions like a knife. I need to confront them in person. The following evening, I drive to my parents' colonial-style home in Portland Heights. The windows glow warm against the darkening sky, and several luxury cars line the circular driveway. I've forgotten about Brandon's engagement dinner. I pause at the dining room entrance, taking in the scene. My brother Brandon sits beside his fiancée Lauren at the head of the table. My father Harold stands, raising a crystal glass in toast. Mother beams at Brandon, her pearl necklace catching the chandelier light. "Excuse me," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "I'm sorry to interrupt." All heads turn. Surprise flickers across my mother's perfectly made-up face before she composes herself into a smile. "Candace, darling, what an unexpected pleasure. I need to speak with you and Dad. It's urgent." "Whatever you need to say can be said here," my father announces, waving his hand magnanimously. "We're family." I take a deep breath, stepping fully into the room. Lauren shifts uncomfortably in her seat. "I need the $75,000 back. The money I loaned you. Lila needs heart surgery." The silence that follows is absolute. I reach for my phone, pulling up the bank transfer records from 8 months ago. Here's the transfer, and here are the texts where you promised to repay it. My mother's smile doesn't falter, but her eyes harden. That was a gift, dear. You even wrote us a thank you note. For helping with the business, not for giving you Daniel's life insurance money. My father sets down his glass. Candace, this isn't the time or place for this discussion. When is the time, Dad? I've been calling for 2 days. Lila needs surgery. We've already committed those funds, he replies, voice tight with irritation. Brandon's wedding is in 4 months. The deposits have been paid. Deposits? I repeat, disbelief curdling in my stomach. My daughter's heart defect versus wedding deposits? It's about our family reputation, my father says. The Matthews name means something in Portland. Lauren glances at Brandon, who suddenly seems very interested in his plate. The wedding is costing that much? She asks quietly. The room falls silent again. Your granddaughter's life is at stake, I say, my voice breaking. Daniel wanted that money to protect her future. My mother stands, smoothing her silk blouse. We've always taken care of this family. You're being dramatic. Insurance will cover the surgery. Not all of it. Then you'll find a way, she says with finality. You always do. I look at their faces, these people who raised me, who taught me right from wrong. I see no recognition of the harm they're causing, only annoyance at the inconvenience of my presence. I leave without another word, tears blurring the driveway as I fumble for my car keys. Inside my car, I rest my forehead against the steering wheel and sob until I can breathe again. When I've collected myself, I drive to the hospital parking lot and call the only people I can turn to now. My late husband's parents, Robert and Diane Wilson, answer on the first ring. Within an hour, Diane arrives, her silver hair pulled into a practical bun, carrying a cardboard tray with 2 coffees. She wraps me in a hug that smells like cinnamon and stability. Robert's on his way, she says, pressing the warm cup into my hands. He was on the phone with the insurance company. Robert joins us shortly after, his weathered face grim but determined. He settles into the vinyl hospital chair beside me, his flannel shirt a comforting reminder of the camping trips he used to take with Daniel. Tell us everything, honey, he says, taking my free hand in his larger one. As I explain the situation, the diagnosis, the costs, my parents' refusal, Diane keeps her hand firmly on mine. The tears come again, but different this time, relief mixed with the pain of betrayal. When I finish, Robert is already making calls to his bank about home equity options for their Idaho cabin. Diane quietly organizes the hospital paperwork, writing notes about insurance contacts and payment schedules. We'll find a way, Diane says, her voice steady as a heartbeat. That's what real family does. In that sterile hospital room, watching these 2 people leap into action for a granddaughter who shares none of their blood, I realize I do have a family, just not the one I was born into. 3 days after the confrontation, I spread financial documents across Robert and Diane's dining room table. The late afternoon sun catches the edges of hospital bills, insurance forms, and bank statements. Each paper represents a piece of the impossible puzzle I'm trying to solve. Robert enters the room, his iPad clutched in his weathered hands, his expression grave. Candace, I found something you need to see. He places the tablet before me, open to my parents' social media page. A wedding planning post from my mother showcases an elaborate mood board with captions detailing costs. $45,000 for the Riverfront Gardens venue, I read aloud, my voice hollow. $22,000 for Lauren's custom ring. $38,000 for River City catering. My finger scrolls down the screen. Total estimated budget, $280,000. Diane places a steadying hand on my shoulder. Look at the date. The post was made 3 weeks after I transferred the $75,000 to their account. There's more, she says, sliding a folder toward me. I've been making some calls. Inside, I find an email from my mother's friend Patricia to the country club events committee. The message casually references Evelyn's excitement about Candace's generous gift that's making Brandon's dream wedding possible. The email is dated just 2 weeks after they promised to repay my story. Loan. My throat tightens. They never intended to pay me back. Robert nods grimly. But that's not all. He pulls out another document official letterhead from Guardian Life Insurance. As I read, the room seems to tilt. Shortly after Daniel's death, my parents had contacted his insurance company, attempting to claim partial benefits as Lila's grandparents. The letter details their argument that, as family elders, they should have oversight of the funds for the child's benefit. The insurance company had denied their claim, stating that Daniel's policy clearly named me as the sole beneficiary. They tried to get the money directly, I whisper, my hands beginning to shake, before they even asked me for a loan. Diane's voice is gentle but firm. This wasn't opportunistic, Candace. They planned this. The realization crashes over me like ice water. My parents hadn't just seized an opportunity when I offered help, they'd been calculating how to access Daniel's life insurance from the moment he died. They saw his death as a financial opportunity. I say, the words burning my throat. Later that afternoon, I watch Lila in her hospital room, arranging stuffed animals on her blanket. Her movements are slower than usual, careful around the incision site, but her smile remains unchanged. She has no idea that her future was treated as a commodity by the people who should have protected her. As I watch her play, memories resurface with painful clarity. My parents' absence at Daniel's funeral, the business emergency that kept them in Seattle. Their limited visits to Lila, despite living just 20 minutes away. The sudden increase in Sunday dinner invitations, after I mentioned the insurance settlement. They've been planning this since Daniel died, I murmur to myself. I recall other financial requests throughout my marriage, small loans that were never repaid, business ventures they wanted Daniel to invest in. How they always seemed more interested in our lives whenever money was involved. The patterns emerge like a blueprint suddenly illuminated. This isn't about Brandon's wedding, it's about control. By accepting the loan, I unknowingly activated their sense of ownership over my life and my decisions. My fingers tap against my phone case as a new thought forms. I need documentation of everything they've done. The next morning, a hesitant knock interrupts Lila's breakfast. Martha Wells, my mother's oldest friend and fellow garden club member, stands awkwardly in the doorway. I shouldn't be here, she says, twisting her pearl bracelet nervously. But I couldn't sleep last night thinking about that sweet girl. Martha perches on the edge of the visitor's chair, her gaze fixed on Lila before shifting to me. I overheard something at the country club yesterday. Harold was in the card room with James Porter. She lowers her voice. He owes money, Candace. A lot of money. Canushin. Dad has gambling debts? Martha nods. James mentioned at least $120,000 to various creditors. And your mother. She hesitates. The women in the club have noticed. The constant new outfits, the jewelry. Evelyn has 8 different designer handbags that she's purchased just this year. My mind races, connecting more dots. Their company isn't doing well, is it? It's been failing for years, Martha confirms. They've maintained appearances through loans and creative accounting. What people don't realize is how precarious their situation really is. She leans forward. They're terrified of bankruptcy more than anything, Candace. Their entire identity is wrapped up in their social standing. I think of my father's dismissive words at the engagement dinner. The Matthews name means something in Portland. James told his wife that Harold said they would do whatever necessary to maintain their position in the community. Martha's eyes fill with tears. I've known your parents for 30 years. They aren't monsters, but they're desperate, and desperation makes people dangerous. After Martha leaves, I sit with this new understanding. My parents aren't cartoon villains twirling mustaches and plotting evil. They're status-obsessed people making devastating choices out of terror. Their fear of social humiliation outweighs even their granddaughter's life. Somehow, this makes their betrayal even worse. That afternoon, the door to Lila's room swings open to reveal Jessica, my lead designer, carrying an insulated bag that smells of Italian food. Behind her, Marcus wheels in a small cart with my laptop and several folders. The Morrison project is under control, Jessica announces, unpacking containers of pasta. I rescheduled the Benjamin consultation to next month, and the Hawthorne presentation got rave reviews. Marcus sets up my laptop. I brought the quarterly financials you asked for. He hands me a folder with our company logo. You've built something solid here, Candace. Even with the medical expenses, the foundation is strong. As they efficiently transform the hospital room into a functional workspace, Robert calls with news. The second mortgage on the cabin is approved. We can transfer $40,000 tomorrow. Diane arrives an hour later, folders tucked under her arm. I've spoken with the hospital financial department. They offer a payment plan for the remaining balance, and there's a foundation that might help with ongoing care costs. I look around the room at Robert and Diane, who mortgaged their retirement cabin, at my team who've seamlessly kept the business running, at the hospital staff who've worked to find financial options. None of them are obligated to help, yet all have stepped forward without hesitation. The contrast with my parents' behavior couldn't be starker. These relationships are built on respect and genuine care, not obligation or appearances. Lila will get her surgery, I say quietly, certainty replacing the panic of 3 days ago, with or without them. For the first time since the school nurse's call, I feel something stronger than fear or hurt. A quiet, focused determination settles over me like armor. The battle for Lila's future has just begun. 3 days later, the hospital cafeteria feels less sterile than the rest of Portland Memorial, though not by much. I nurse a lukewarm coffee while Mrs. Peterson, a hospital administrator with gray-streaked hair and reading glasses perched on her nose, reviews my financial aid application. Mrs. Matthews, she says, pushing a form across the table. Lila qualifies for the Children's Heart Foundation grant. They'll cover 30% of the surgical costs. My hand trembles slightly as I reach for the document. 30%? Mrs. Peterson nods, her expression softening. Additionally, your business qualifies under our Small Business Owner Hardship Program. With the contributions from your in-laws and our new hospital charity match, we're looking at a remaining gap of approximately $20,000. 20,000. The number floats before me, so much smaller than the mountain of debt that had threatened to crush us just days ago. I blink rapidly, afraid to believe it. Are you certain? I ask, scanning the columns of numbers. I double-checked everything myself. Mrs. Peterson's smile reaches her eyes. Lila's case is exactly what these programs were designed for. Robert and Diane had mortgaged their cabin. The hospital found grant money. Somehow, impossibly, we've carved the impossible number down to something almost manageable. My phone vibrates against the table. A social media notification lights up the screen. My parents have posted something. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something compels me to look. My breath catches as I open the notification. It's a close-up of Lauren's hand, her fingers splayed to showcase an elaborate diamond ring. The caption reads, "Continuing the Matthews family legacy. Grandmother's diamonds find a new home." I stare at the image, recognition blooming. The distinctive arrangement of stones, a central oval diamond, surrounded by smaller round brilliants, unmistakable even in this digital format. Those are my grandmother's diamonds, I whisper to myself. They promised them to me in their will. Mrs. Peterson glances up. I'm sorry? Nothing, I say, but my mind races. My parents had shown me the will years ago, pointing out specific family heirlooms earmarked for me. The ring had been explicitly mentioned, a promise of family continuity they apparently found easy to break. I study the photo again, seeing it differently now. Not just diamonds, but leverage. Physical evidence of broken promises. Something clicks into place as I realize my parents have given me a window into their weakness. I murmur, a sudden clarity washing over me. Mrs. Matthews? Mrs. Peterson looks concerned. I've just figured out how to get the remaining 20,000, I say, straightening in my chair. The following afternoon, I pull into the Portland Heights Country Club parking lot, my heart hammering against my ribs. Diane sits beside me, her presence a steady anchor. You don't have to do this, she says quietly. I check my lipstick in the rearview mirror. Yes, I do. The weekly charity luncheon bustles with Portland's elite. Crystal glasses catch the light, conversations hum beneath classical music, and waiters navigate between tables with practiced grace. I spot my parents immediately, Harold in his tailored navy suit, Evelyn in a pale pink dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. They're hosting a table of business associates, my father's laugh carrying across the room. Ready? Diane asks. I nod, clutching a leather folder containing Lila's medical documents and foundation paperwork. We approach the table with measured steps. I feel eyes tracking our movement, curious about these unexpected visitors. Mother, father, I say warmly, smiling as though this is the most natural thing in the world. What a lovely event. My father's laughter cuts off mid-sentence. My mother's smile freezes, her eyes darting to their guests. Candace, she says, recovering quickly. What a surprise. I was just admiring Lauren's engagement photos, I say, my voice pleasant. Those diamonds look remarkably like grandmother's, the ones you promised would come to me in your will. A businessman at the table glances up with interest. My mother's fingers tighten around her water glass. Family tradition, she stutters. We thought it appropriate for Brandon's bride to carry on the legacy. Speaking of family matters, I say, opening my folder and extracting the foundation grant paperwork. I need to discuss something urgent. Lila needs the remaining $20,000 from my loan to complete her heart surgery funding. The table falls silent. I place the hospital documents on the tablecloth, angling them so the guests can see the official letterhead. The Children's Heart Foundation is covering 30%. I explain calmly. The hospital has a matching program, but we must secure all funds by Friday to qualify. The foundation is quite particular about their timeline. My father leans forward. Candace, this isn't the place. I'm not leaving without an answer, I say, my voice quiet but firm. Lila's surgery is scheduled for Monday. The businessman to my father's left shifts uncomfortably. A woman in a gold bracelet watches with undisguised interest. The social pressure builds with each passing second of silence. My mother's face flushes with embarrassment. Her hand moves to her purse, extracting her checkbook with obvious reluctance. Her pen scratches against the paper, the sound unnaturally loud in the hushed table. This doesn't mean we agree with your characterization of our arrangement, she says, sliding the check toward me, but we won't have Lila's health discussed so publicly. The check is for exactly $20,000, not a penny more. I take it, tucking it carefully into my folder. Thank you for your consideration. As I turn to leave, a woman at the adjacent table catches my eye. Lauren's mother. She gives me a small, knowing nod. Back at Portland Memorial, I find the surgical team has already scheduled Lila's operation. The financial office confirms receipt of my payment plan, with the foundation match secured. Robert and Diane wait in Lila's room, a plate of chocolate chip cookies on the bedside table. Robert holds a small brown teddy bear wearing a miniature hospital gown. How did it go? Diane asks, rising to meet me. I hold up the check, still not quite believing it worked. We have the money. Robert's weathered face breaks into a relieved smile. I knew you could do it. A knock at the door interrupts our celebration. Mrs. Peterson enters, carrying additional paperwork. I have some unexpected news, she says. We've received an anonymous donation of $5,000 toward Lila's care. Anonymous? I repeat. Mrs. Peterson nods. All I can tell you is it came from someone at the country club. They specified it was for Lila Matthews' heart surgery. Later that evening, Lauren calls to confirm what I suspected her parents made the donation after overhearing our conversation. They were appalled. She says quietly, Mom said no child should suffer because of adult problems. It's the first public validation that others see the injustice of my parents' actions. The story has begun spreading through Portland's social circles. People are choosing sides. The next morning, my assistant Marcus arrives at the hospital with a folder of contracts. 3 new clients signed with us yesterday, he explains. They heard about Lila through a mutual connection at the country club. Said they wanted to work with a designer who demonstrates such integrity. The support expands beyond our immediate circle, reaching into the community I've built through my business. Strength flows from unexpected sources, building a foundation beneath us. In Lila's room, my daughter hugs her new teddy bear close, oblivious to the battle fought on her behalf. I named him Brave, she tells me, adjusting his tiny hospital gown, because he's going to have surgery just like me. I brush her hair back from her forehead, meeting Robert and Diane's gaze over her head. Their eyes shine with unshed tears that match my own. This isn't over 20,000 barely scratches the surface of what my parents owe. But for the first time since this nightmare began, I feel the ground solidifying beneath my feet. We have what we need for now. Lila will get her surgery, and I've discovered a power I never knew I possessed. My daughter squeezes the bear tight. Are you crying, Mommy? Happy tears, I tell her truthfully. Everything's going to be okay. 2 weeks after Lila's surgery, I spread documents across Robert and Diane's dining room table with the same precision I use when arranging fabric swatches for a design board. Bank statements, text messages, emails, each piece of evidence meticulously organized in chronological order. The attorney confirmed what we suspected, Robert says, sliding a folder toward me. Those text messages where they promised repayment constitute a binding agreement. The electronic transfer records provide clear documentation of intent. I nod, studying the legal assessment with the detached focus I've cultivated since watching Lila's small chest rise and fall under hospital monitors. The raw panic of those early days has hardened into something else, something measured and methodical. Their vulnerabilities are obvious, I say, tapping a finger on their country club membership directory. Social standing, business reputation, status within the community. Diane looks up from her notebook where she's documenting every conversation, every broken promise. What about Brandon? Have you spoken with him since the country club? Not yet. He's still processing what happened there. I open my laptop, pulling up a spreadsheet, but he's the missing piece. They've manipulated him his entire life, but he deserves to know where his wedding money is coming from. My interior design instincts guide my approach. In a successful design, every element must serve the overall vision. Nothing wasted, nothing without purpose. The same principles apply here. Every piece of evidence, every relationship, every timing decision must align toward a single goal. There's something else, I say, pulling up an email from a potential client. The Waterfront Hotel Group wants to hire us for their Portland location renovation. It's a $500,000 contract. Robert whistles. That would put your company on the map. Exactly. They need a firm with proven stability and a solid portfolio. I close the laptop, a decision crystallizing. I'm focusing on business growth before confronting my parents again. The stronger my company becomes, the less power they have over my future. I unfold my parents' social calendar obtained through my father's assistant, who's sympathetic to my situation. The Regional Business Award ceremony is in 3 weeks. They're receiving the Family Business Legacy honor. Diane raises an eyebrow. The irony is remarkable. It's the perfect opportunity, I say, marking the date. But we need to be strategic. No more emotional reactions. That's what they expect from me. The woman who stood shaking in that hospital consultation room no longer exists. In her place is someone who understands that precise preparation is more powerful than desperate pleas. Marcus arrives an hour later, carrying a folder of his own. As my assistant, he's become an invaluable part of my strategy team. I've been talking to people in the business community, he says, spreading printouts across the table. Your parents' company is facing supplier payment issues. 3 vendors have put them on credit hold. Document everything, I tell him, and have Jessica photograph all family heirlooms that were promised to me over the years. I need a comprehensive catalog. I assign tasks with the same efficiency I use when managing design projects. Robert will contact his old business associates who worked with my father. Diane will organize our evidence file with timestamps and witness statements. Marcus will continue gathering intelligence on my parents' business struggles. They reached out to your design firm yesterday, Marcus adds, looking uncomfortable. They want to hire you for Brandon's wedding. I stare at him. They don't know who owns the company, do they? Apparently not. They contacted Jessica directly after seeing our portfolio online. A strategic opportunity materializes. My parents have no idea how much my company's reputation has grown while they've been focused on their social calendar. The timing feels significant. Tell Jessica to schedule a consultation next week, but don't mention my involvement. I decide. Let's see what information we can gather. We work silently for another hour, organizing evidence without unnecessary discussion. No longer driven by the frantic energy of those early days, we're building a foundation for something much more substantial than an emotional confrontation. My phone rings unexpectedly. Brandon's name appears on the screen. How dare you make a scene at the country club? He snaps without greeting. Mom and Dad are devastated. They say you're jealous of my wedding plans. The accusation hits like a physical blow. They're not just withholding money, they're actively turning my brother against me. Brandon, I say, keeping my voice steady. I needed money for Lila's heart surgery. Money that was loaned to them from Daniel's life insurance. They refused. They said you're twisting things, that you gave them a gift and now you're trying to ruin my special day because you're bitter about Daniel. I close my eyes, absorbing the calculated cruelty of their manipulation. When I speak again, my voice remains measured. Ask them where your wedding money came from, Brandon. Ask to see their business accounts. Ask why they're borrowing money from Lauren's parents when I supposedly gave them $75,000. Silence stretches between us. When he finally responds, uncertainty threads through his anger. Lauren's parents haven't loaned them money. Check with Lauren, They approached her father last week about an investment opportunity. Ask him. More silence, then a reluctant, I'll talk to her. After he hangs up, I stare at the wall of evidence we've assembled. My parents aren't just fighting to keep money, they're fighting to maintain their narrative. The realization strengthens my resolve. They won't turn my brother against me too, I tell Robert and Diane. Not when I'm finally seeing them clearly. 1 month after Lila's surgery, I stand at my office window watching the Portland rain. The glass reflects my face sharper now, less willing to bend. My daughter returned to school last week, her small heart mended while mine has grown a protective shell. Candace? The hotel contract just came through. Jessica slides the document across my desk, her smile genuine. Congratulations, 3 years of guaranteed work. I sign my name with deliberate strokes. This contract represents more than income. It's evidence of stability, of a company thriving despite the storm my parents tried to create. The kind of proof banks and lawyers respect. Perfect timing, I say, tucking a copy into the leather portfolio Robert gave me last Christmas. The one with my initials embossed in gold. Not my family name. How's the demand letter coming along? Final draft arrived this morning. Jessica hands me another folder. Legal wants your approval before sending. They're requesting the full $55,000 balance. The amount nearly stops my breath. $20,000 recovered at the country club, $55,000 still outstanding. My parents' theft measured in precise dollars and cents. They've included interest, Jessica adds, and documented evidence of their broken repayment promise. I scan the letter, noting its clinical tone. No hint of the betrayal beneath the numbers. No mention of a granddaughter's life hanging in balance while her grandparents planned a society wedding. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. Portland Business Journal confirmed interview next week. Editor interested in expansion story. Another piece falls into place. The business community will know my company's success story just as my parents receive their family business legacy honor at next month's awards ceremony. Strategic timing, Robert calls it. I call it justice. On my bulletin board, a timeline tracks every conversation, text message, and bank transaction between my parents and me. Each sticky note and document forms a constellation of evidence, building toward a single point of confrontation. 3 former associates of Harold Men my father dismissed or undermined over the years have provided statements about his business practices. Their testimonies sit in a blue folder marked Verification. Jessica, can you schedule a meeting with the team for tomorrow morning? I want to review our presentation materials. When she leaves, I open my laptop to a financial analysis spreadsheet. The document traces a direct line from my $75,000 loan to vendor deposits for Brandon's wedding. Each cell contains a transaction. Each tab tells part of the story. The work is methodical, meticulous. Nothing like my desperate plea at the country club. This isn't about emotion anymore, it's about accountability. My phone rings with Diane's ringtone. Just checking in, she says when I answer. How's our girl today? She has show and tell tomorrow, taking her butterfly collection. The normalcy in my voice surprises even me. How's Robert's back? Better after physical therapy. He mentioned running into Thomas Blackwood at the hardware store. I straighten. Thomas Blackwood, chairman of the Regional Business Awards Committee. What did he say? Apparently your parents have been leveraging their upcoming award for a bank loan, using the family name to secure financing. My free hand closes into a fist. This isn't just about me anymore. My parents are expanding their pattern, using one falsehood to build another. Robert told him about your company's hotel contract, Diane continues. Said Thomas seemed impressed. Another connection established, another foundation stone laid. I thank Diane and end the call, turning back to my timeline wall. My reflection in the window looks older, more resolute. The woman who once begged for what was rightfully hers now leads a careful campaign of truth. The innocent who loaned money to desperate parents has become the strategist they never imagined she could be. My phone buzzes again, an alert about a client meeting. As I gather my materials, Jessica appears in the doorway, her expression unusually grave. 2 clients called asking for urgent meetings. They're concerned about whether we can fulfill our contracts. The chill that runs through me has nothing to do with the air conditioning. Which clients? The Riverside renovation and the Pearson office building. She hesitates. Both mentioned concerns about our financial stability. Understanding clicks into place. My parents called them. Jessica nods. The Pearsons said specifically that Harold Matthews reached out with concerns about family business matters affecting your company. The attack isn't just personal anymore, they're going after my livelihood, my employees' security, my ability to care for Lila. The stakes have shifted beyond money to my professional reputation, the foundation I've built from grief and determination. Schedule those meetings for tomorrow. Prepare complete financial statements showing our growth trajectory. And pull the portfolios for both projects. I want to show them exactly where we stand. As Jessica leaves, my phone lights up with a text from Robert. Lauren's father called. Your parents approached him about investing in their business through the wedding connection. They're using the engagement to solicit funds. My stomach tightens. They're not just trying to keep what they stole, they're actively using the situation to gather more money. Lauren's wealthy family now targets in their scheme. I close my eyes, breathing deeply. The methodical approach I've maintained for weeks feels suddenly inadequate. Waiting until the awards ceremony might be too late. Every day gives them more opportunity to cause harm. Diane's words from yesterday echo in my mind. Sometimes the kindest thing is difficult truth. I call my lawyer. I need to accelerate our timeline. They're attacking my business directly and soliciting investments from Lauren's family. We can issue the demand letter tomorrow, he replies. But the public approach at the ceremony gives you maximum leverage. Can we do both? I ask, a new determination hardening my voice. I'm done playing defense. After we disconnect, I stand again at the window. The rain has stopped, leaving the city gleaming under breaking clouds. Sometimes the storm isn't thunder and lightning, but the quiet, determined pressure of water, finding every weakness, revealing every crack. My parents thought they were facing a desperate daughter. Instead, they've created their own worst enemy, a mother protecting her child's future, a businesswoman defending her life's work, a woman who finally sees the truth without flinching. Tomorrow, the water rises. The next day, the legal threat letter trembles in my hand, its official letterhead carrying the weight of my parents' latest attack. Attorney Gregory Simmons, Esquire, demands I cease all defamatory statements regarding Matthew's fine woodworking and issue a public retraction of my false claims immediately. The letter lands on my kitchen counter with a soft thud that belies its devastating potential. My phone rings. It's Warren Hastings, our biggest client, his voice strained. Candace, I received a concerning call from your father this morning. He mentioned your company might be facing financial difficulties. My stomach clenches. Warren, that's absolutely untrue. I keep my voice steady while fury builds inside me. Our company has never been more stable. Harold seemed quite adamant. He mentioned potential bankruptcy proceedings. The calculated cruelty of their timing hits me. Tomorrow's Regional Business Awards ceremony, where my parents are set to receive the Family Business Legacy honor, represents their crowning achievement in Portland's business community. They're systematically dismantling everything I've built to ensure I won't be there to challenge their carefully cultivated image. After reassuring Warren, I receive another call, this one from the Ethics Committee of the American Society of Interior Designers. A formal complaint has been filed against Matthew's Design Studio, alleging client neglect and financial irregularities. The committee representative reads from a document that includes fabricated client complaints with impossible timeline inconsistencies. The complainant is Harold Matthews, she says. He states he's concerned as your father about your professional conduct. I press my palm against the kitchen counter to steady myself. I'll provide complete documentation, disproving these allegations by end of day. My phone buzzes again with a text from Jessica. Evelyn approached Robert and Diane at the grocery store. Told them they're enabling your jealousy issues. Diane nearly slapped her. Before I can respond, Brandon calls, his voice sharp with accusation. Mom and Dad say you're trying to destroy our family. What the hell, Candace? That's not true, Brandon. Can we meet tonight? There are things you should know about your wedding funding. Like what? That you're jealous I'm getting the celebration you never had? The manipulation in his words is clear. They've twisted my concerns into petty envy. It's about where the money came from, I say quietly. He hangs up. I sink onto a kitchen stool, mentally cataloging their coordinated attacks, legal threats, client sabotage, ethics violations, family manipulation, all perfectly timed to overwhelm me before tomorrow's ceremony. They're leveraging every relationship and institution against me, calculating that I'll crumble under the pressure. The kitchen door swings open as Lila returns from her playdate, humming softly. She stops when she sees my face. "Are you okay, Mommy?" I force a smile. "Just grown-up stuff, sweetheart. How was Sarah's house?" While Lila chatters about her afternoon, my phone lights up with a text from an unfamiliar number. "This is Lauren. What's really happening?" Brandon seems confused. My salvation might come from an unexpected ally. Within the hour, my carefully prepared response machinery activates. Our legal team forwards documented evidence of the loan to my parents' attorney, along with a cease and desist regarding false statements to my clients. Marcus sends business records proving company stability to Warren Hastings and our other concerned clients. Jessica compiles a comprehensive timeline, demonstrating my parents' pattern of behavior for Lauren. I compose an email to the ASID Ethics Board, with documentation disproving every fabricated complaint. The timestamps on completed projects, client testimonials, and financial records tell a story of meticulous professionalism, not neglect. My phone rings again. It's my media contact at the Portland Business Journal. "I received your background information," she says. "This is quite a story about Matthew's fine woodworking. Do you have documentation for all of this?" Every transfer, text message, and email, I confirm, along with medical records showing the timing of my daughter's surgery against their wedding expenditures. Robert calls to confirm he and Diane will attend tomorrow's ceremony for moral support. "We've rescheduled our doctor appointments. We'll be there front and center." Marcus forwards video testimonials from 3 satisfied clients directly contradicting my parents' claims about our company's reliability. Jessica delivers final financial records showing not just stability but remarkable growth over the past 6 months. The coordination of all these moving parts fills me with a strange calm. What began as desperate pleas for help has evolved into a methodical campaign for truth. No longer am I begging for what's rightfully mine. I'm demanding accountability with evidence that can't be dismissed. My doorbell rings at 8:17 p.m. Brandon stands on my porch, shoulders hunched, his expression a mixture of anger and confusion. "Lauren showed me the timeline," he says, stepping inside. "I don't believe it." I lead him to the dining room, where folders of evidence lie spread across the table. "See for yourself." For the next hour, Brandon sifts through bank transfers, text messages, and medical bills. His initial denial transforms into anger, then crumbles into devastation. "They told me you were jealous," he whispers, "that you've always resented my success." "I've never been jealous of you, Brandon. I just needed the money I loaned them to save Lila's life." He picks up Lauren's engagement ring, studying the diamonds. "These were supposed to be yours?" "Grandma's diamonds. Dad promised them to me in his will." "Did you know they borrowed $150,000 from Lauren's parents for the wedding?" Brandon's voice cracks. Her father thinks he's investing in Dad's business expansion. The final piece clicks into place. My parents aren't just refusing to repay my loan. They're actively soliciting new funds based on the reputation they're about to receive at tomorrow's ceremony. Brandon examines the ring again, twisting it under my dining room light. Lauren's parents are considering legal action if they don't get answers about their investment. The stakes have reached their maximum height. Family relationships, business reputation, and legal consequences all converging at tomorrow's ceremony. "This isn't your fault," I tell him, reaching across the table to squeeze his hand. "I'm coming tomorrow," Brandon says, slipping the ring into his pocket. "I need to hear their explanation face to face." "Lauren too?" "She wants to bring her parents. They deserve answers about their investment." After Brandon leaves, I review the evidence portfolio one final time, arranging documents in presentation order, creating digital copies on a thumb drive to connect to the ceremony's projection system. Every detail meticulously prepared for maximum impact. I place the folder in my briefcase and walk to Lila's bedroom. She sleeps peacefully, unaware of the storm about to break over our family. I brush a strand of hair from her forehead, remembering how small she looked in that hospital bed while my parents planned flower arrangements costing more than her medical care. Tomorrow, every player in this drama will converge in one room. My parents, believing themselves untouchable. Brandon and Lauren, newly awakened to the truth. Robert and Diane, steadfastly supportive. Lauren's parents, demanding answers about their investment. The business community my parents have cultivated and manipulated. And me, no longer the desperate daughter begging for help, but a woman armed with irrefutable evidence and the determination to use it. I close Lila's door softly and return to my bedroom, laying out my outfit for tomorrow, not the muted, accommodating ensemble of a supplicant, but the confident attire of someone who knows exactly what she's worth. Tomorrow we find out what matters more to them. I whisper to Daniel's photograph on my nightstand. Reputation or reconciliation? The next day, the Regional Business Awards ceremony transforms the Windsor Hotel ballroom into a cathedral of Portland's business elite. Crystal chandeliers cast honeyed light over white-clothed tables, where the city's professional aristocracy exchanges practiced smiles. From the entrance, I spot my parents at the front table, my father's silver hair gleaming under the stage lights, my mother's diamond earrings catching fire with each turn of her head. Ready? Robert squeezes my shoulder, his weathered hand steady and warm. I nod, clutching my evidence folder. Behind us stand Diane, Brandon, Lauren, Marcus, and Jessica, my chosen family forming a protective phalanx. Brandon's face is pale but resolute. Just yesterday, he sat in my living room, staring at bank statements, showing how our parents had funded his wedding with money meant for his niece's heart. They told me you were jealous, he'd whispered, voice hollowed by betrayal, that you resented my success. My parents' faces freeze mid-laugh when they spot our group. Father's smile calcifies, mother's fingers tighten around her champagne stem. The room buzzes with conversations about business forecasts and market trends, oblivious to the gathering storm. The awards committee chairman taps his microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 37th Annual Regional Business Awards. I listen as he introduces the categories, each celebrated with polite applause. When he announces the Family Business Legacy Award, my father straightens his already perfect tie. The Matthews family has built Matthews Fine Woodworking from a small workshop into Portland's premier custom furniture studio, the chairman declares. Harold and Evelyn Matthews exemplify generational integrity and family values in business. The audience applauds as my parents glide to the podium. Father adjusts the microphone, his voice confident and controlled. Business success comes from sacrifice and vision. Sometimes difficult choices must be made to preserve a family legacy. Quote, Mother steps forward, her smile practiced to perfection. Nothing matters more than supporting our children, even when they make decisions we find challenging. My stomach twists at their performance, at the adoration in the eyes of people who don't know them. Brandon grips the back of my chair so hard his knuckles whiten. We will now take questions from the audience, the chairman announces, gesturing to the floor microphone. Robert nods at me. I rise, my heels clicking against the hardwood as I approach the microphone. The spotlight finds me, warm against my face. Could you explain? I begin, voice steadier than expected, how my husband's life insurance funded Brandon's wedding? The room falls silent. Father's face hardens, but before he can respond, I pull out my tablet and connect it to the presentation system. For context, I continue. This is a bank transfer of $75,000 from my account to Matthews Fine Woodworking a year ago. The screen behind my parents illuminates with the transaction details. And these are text messages promising repayment within 1 year. I swipe to the next image. This is my 7-year-old daughter Lila in Portland Memorial Hospital a month ago, requiring heart surgery costing $110,000. The medical photograph appears my small daughter connected to monitors, her unicorn backpack beside her bed. And this is my parents' response when I asked for my loan to be repaid to save her life. The audience murmurs as I display screenshots of ignored calls, dismissive texts, and finally the recorded conversation at their home. Meanwhile, I continue, swiping again. These are wedding vendor contracts totaling $280,000, signed within weeks of receiving my loan, including $38,000 for flowers alone. The figures appear in stark detail as Brandon steps forward beside me. I didn't know, he says, voice cracking. I had no idea where the money for my wedding came from. Lauren joins us, slipping the diamond ring from her finger. I can't wear stones meant for my sister-in-law. From the second row, Lauren's father rises. Harold, you solicited an additional investment from me for your business expansion using Brandon's wedding as collateral. Was that money also meant for your granddaughter's medical care? The control in father's face fractures. This is a private family matter being grossly mischaracterized by my emotional daughter. Your emotional daughter, Robert calls from our table, Had to mortgage her in-laws' retirement cabin to pay for your granddaughter's heart surgery. Mother steps forward, her smile now brittle. We've always supported our family. Candace is exaggerating the situation. Insurance covered most of the surgery. $42,000 remained after insurance. I correct. The life insurance money Daniel left specifically to protect Lila's future would have covered it if you had honored your promise to repay the loan. The awards committee chairman whispers urgently with the other members. After a moment, he approaches the microphone. In light of this information, the committee will review the family legacy honor. Father's face pales. This is simply a misunderstanding. Is it? A man in a charcoal suit rises from the middle tables. Mr. Matthews, I'm Kevin Brenner from First Portland Bank. Our loan committee approved your application yesterday based on this award announcement. Given these revelations, I'll need to speak with you immediately. Father's hand trembles as he reaches for Mother's arm. Around them, people who minutes ago nodded in admiration now lean away in subtle rejection. This is ridiculous. Mother hisses, but her social armor cracks as a woman at the next table stands. My son needed specialized education funding last year, the woman says. You told me your business was too cash-strapped to repay the $10,000 I invested, yet you spent $38,000 on wedding flowers? The chairman clears his throat. After consultation with the committee, we are rescinding the family business legacy honor, effective immediately. Father staggers slightly, his hand white-knuckled on the podium edge. His composure crumbles like a sandcastle at high tide. Mrs. Matthews? The chairman continues, turning to me. Your design firm's growth despite these personal challenges represents remarkable business acumen and integrity. Perhaps next year, you'll accept our nomination instead. From the back of the room, a tall woman in a hotel management uniform stands. Candace's company is handling our complete renovation. We chose her precisely because of her integrity and transparency in business practices. One by one, 3 previous clients rise to offer similar testimonials. Each validation further diminishes my parents, who stand abandoned at the podium as the attention of the room shifts toward me. The award ceremony concludes with awkward efficiency. In the hotel lobby afterward, a steady stream of business leaders approaches our group. Some offer business cards, others simply shake my hand with newfound respect. Through the revolving doors, I glimpse my parents climbing into their car alone, Father's shoulders slumped in defeat. Mrs. Matthews, Kevin Brenner approaches with a concerned expression. I've spoken with our loan committee. Your parents' approval has been rescinded. They leveraged this award significantly in their application. Lauren's father joins us, his face taut with controlled anger. I've demanded the return of my investment. They weren't the only ones they approached. 3 other wedding guests are comparing notes. Brandon stares after our parents' departing car. I had no idea, he repeats. I'm postponing the wedding. We need to start over. Build something real. Lauren nods, linking her arm through his. Lila deserves to know her real family. Robert confronts Harold before he can escape to the parking lot. You chose status over your granddaughter's life, he says, voice low but carrying. What kind of man does that make you? Beside him, Diane speaks directly to Mother. A mother protects her child, not her social calendar. Evelyn. As guests filter past, I feel the weight of victory. Every element of our strategic preparation has paid off: the financial documentation, professional network, media contacts, legal safeguards. This victory feels complete in a way the country club confrontation never could. Are you going to say anything else to them? Marcus asks quietly. I watch my parents drive away, smaller now without their social armor, their borrowed reputation. No, I reply, surrounded by people who chose to stand with me. This wasn't about punishment, it was about truth and protection. Around me, my real family gathers closer, not bound by blood but by choice, by showing up when it mattered most. In the end, that made all the difference. The morning sun streams through my office windows as I review the certification for ethical business practices that arrived yesterday. 1 week after the awards ceremony, and already the ripples continue spreading outward. Candace? Marcus knocks on my doorframe, tablet in hand. The Seattle contract is ready for your signature, and Mrs. Peterson from the Hospital Foundation called. They want you on their advisory board for the new family support program. I look up from my desk, where Lila's latest heart checkup report sits beside the business plan for our Denver expansion. Tell her yes, please. Schedule it around Lila's piano lessons. The phone rings again. My new normal. The interior design magazine wants a profile piece. The bank needs confirmation about refinancing terms for Robert and Diane's mortgage. A potential client heard about my company's reputation for integrity. My hands no longer shake when I answer calls. Through my open door, I watch my team working together with quiet purpose. Jessica coordinates with contractors for our latest hotel project, while Sam finalizes the budget for our Seattle office. The atmosphere hums with something that took me weeks to identify: security. Last night, for the first time since Lila's diagnosis, I slept straight through until morning. My phone buzzes with a text from Brandon. Lauren and I found the perfect venue for the new wedding. Small garden, family only. Can you come see it this weekend? I smile at the simple question that would have tied my stomach in knots just weeks ago. The wedding they're planning now costs less than the original flower budget, focusing on relationships instead of appearances. The news about my parents circulates in whispers. Their supplier payment demands remain unresolved. The ethics investigation at the country club continues. They've listed their house for sale. The realtor's sign stark against the manicured lawn where I once played as a child. I feel nothing but quiet relief. When I arrive home that evening, Robert's truck sits in my driveway. Inside, the smell of Diane's lasagna fills the kitchen. Lila sits at the piano, her small fingers moving confidently across the keys as Robert records her progress on his phone. Mom! She jumps up, running to hug me. Grandma Diane taught me a new song today, and I didn't get tired at all. Her energy, the simple ability to run across a room without losing breath, still makes my throat tighten with gratitude. Doctor. Brennan's latest report confirmed her heart is healing exactly as hoped. Let me hear it after dinner, I say, hugging her close. Diane wipes her hands on a kitchen towel and embraces me. Brandon and Lauren called. They're coming over with some wedding plans to show you. The doorbell rings as we're setting the table. Brandon stands awkwardly on the porch, Lauren beside him holding a portfolio and a bottle of wine. The tension in his shoulders has eased since he made the decision to postpone the original wedding. When he hugs me, I feel the genuine pressure of his arms rather than the stiff formality of obligation. During dinner, Lila looks around the table, taking in the faces of Brandon and Lauren alongside Robert and Diane. Her brow furrows in that thoughtful way that reminds me so much of Daniel. Are we a bigger family now? She asks, fork pausing midway to her mouth. The simplicity of her question silences the table. Brandon reaches for Lauren's hand. Yes, sweetheart, I answer, my voice steady. We are. 6 months later, I stand on a restaurant balcony overlooking downtown Denver, champagne flute in hand, surveying the small gathering of my expanded team. Our third city office opens tomorrow, with contracts already signed for our first 3 projects. The company that once occupied my dining room now employs 27 people across 3 states. Jessica approaches, tablet displaying our latest financial projections. We have 3 more clients than anticipated this quarter, she reports. And that developer in Seattle wants us for their entire apartment complex. It would mean working through Christmas. I hand the tablet back. Tell them we're available after January 10th. Family time is non-negotiable. A year ago, I would have accepted any project, regardless of timing or pressure. The difference feels like breathing after years underwater. Lila's school calls less frequently now that her stamina has returned to normal. Her latest checkup showed complete recovery, the surgical scar fading to a thin white line beneath her favorite unicorn t-shirt. She plays piano twice weekly, mastering pieces that once exhausted her after a few measures. Robert and Diane sold their Idaho cabin, buying a smaller home 15 minutes from us. They host Sunday dinners, where Brandon and Lauren have become regulars. Lauren teaches Lila watercolor painting every weekend, their heads bent together over paper blooming with color. My former clients have become friends who call just to check in. My business cards now feature a simple tagline I once would have considered risky: integrity in design and relationships. When a young designer on my team faces pressure from a client to cut corners on materials, I recognize her distress immediately. We sit in my office as she describes the ethical dilemma, her voice tightening with the same anxiety I once felt daily. Sometimes the most expensive decision is the one that costs your integrity. I tell her, we'll find another approach that serves everyone. The knowledge feels solid in my bones, earned through fire. 1 year to the day after Lila's surgery, we gather in the backyard of my new home. A stone patio stretches beneath string lights. Tables arranged for the first fundraising dinner of the Daniel Wilson Foundation. 5 families have already received assistance bridging insurance gaps for pediatric heart surgeries. The hospital partnership guarantees expedited care for foundation recipients. My professional network has created a sustainable funding model that will expand to neighboring states next year. The foundation's mission statement hangs framed in my office. Family means showing up when it matters most. Inside, Lila sits at the piano, Robert recording while she plays the complex piece she couldn't finish before her surgery. Her fingers move with confident precision, no longer limited by her healing heart. Brandon stands with his arm around Lauren, whose pregnancy shows beneath her flowing dress. "We want you to be the godmother," Lauren whispers, when Lila finishes playing. Diane arranges photo albums on the coffee table, new pictures alongside memories from before. The empty spaces where my parents should be remain unfilled. They haven't contacted us since the ceremony, their absence a wound slowly turning to scar tissue. I watch my daughter play, surrounded by people who chose to be family rather than those assigned by birth. Some broken promises teach us who we can truly count on. Others show us who we can become when faced with impossible choices. Tonight, we celebrate both.